Hello. Today we will work one strategy position. As you can see, center is closed totally, so we need to find good plan here for white. It's not something about blitzkrieg or something like that. So first we need to create position for attack. So what we can do here as white. First, always what I told you is you should try to divide the board and then to see where you should go with your pieces. You can't do that if you don't recognize here weakness. So basically in every position we can find some weakness, but only if we can spot it. So it's important for us to recognize where is the weakness, but also this is connected with your knowledge in chess. So if you're on a higher level, you can probably see that faster, or maybe you can recognize even more weaknesses in some positions, so it will be much easier for you to not spend your energy for unnecessary things and then to play just, or to focus just on what is important in that position. So let's check here what we can attack in the future in black position. First, if we take a look queenside, we can see here that the knight is kind of out of game, but he can exchange that for our bishop. Now, good question would be, should we trade our bishop for his knight, or maybe to avoid with bishop a4 here? On that question, we can answer really easily here, because we can take a look at our pawn structure. And mostly we can say of our pawns are on light squares. That means that we can pretty much good cover light squares. So that means that black, who has a light square bishop, he can't attack us to the light squares, because we can manage that, or we can control that, even if we exchange our light square bishop for his knight. So that means that we don't need to worry about that. So we can trade it. That is one thing. On the queen side also maybe we have b file, but this is something what we can't use. Why? Because we can't play a4, a5, we can't do that because of the knight for now, and we can't weak his pawn structure on the queen side. c3 and d4, maybe something like that could be idea here, but no, then the pawn on c4 will be really weak. And also with that we will open his light square bishop, so he will be much more active than now. So probably we shouldn't play on the queen side. So that is something what we know already, and now when we know that, it's much easier to recognize something on the king side. Let's check what we can find there. First we have a pawn on e4, so but also black has the pawn on e5, so it's not about some space advantage here, because we don't have that on the king side. We don't have too many pieces there, but we have something really important here, and that is the bishop on g5. Why he is so important? First, if you can notice here, black doesn't have dark square bishop. That is one thing. Okay, he doesn't need to worry about that, because mostly of his pawns are on dark squares, so black can control a lot of dark squares in this position. But there is a problem on the king side. Why? Because we pin that knight, and the queen can't go anywhere because of that knight. Because if black moves the queen, then we can capture on f6, and when he capture with his pawn, then the king will be open. So we can use that for attack. So the queen can go only maybe on e7. That is only square where black can put his queen, but probably nothing. Still the queen will be passive. Okay, but for now this is not something important in position, because this is just attack on that knight with only one piece, so it's not enough, of course. Whenever we take here, of course black will capture with the queen, so we didn't do anything. We want to weak his pawn structure. That is important, because if we weak his pawn structure, then we can attack. So now we know where is the weakness, but we don't know yet how to increase attack. Let's check now what we have on our side. First, maybe we can play h4, h5, h6. But if we play h4, problem is we don't have rook on h file. So for example, after h4, black can play h6, and we can't move the bishop on h4. We will be forced to move the bishop on e3, or maybe to wait and to sacrifice practically that bishop for the pawn. But we don't have that attack because we already castle on the king side and we can't use h-file for attack. Maybe with g3, king g2, but this is kind of slow, and we know that already, that if we sacrifice some of our pieces, then the best thing what we can do is to have some speed. If we don't have speed in attack, or if everything is not forcing, or with some pressure on the king, probably black will consolidate position, I mean the other side. So it's not that. We can't play h4 here. h3 with idea knight h2, knight g4, sorry, knight g4 would be nice, but there is a light square bishop who can cover light square. So whenever we go with our knight, if we want to increase attack with our knight, maybe through the d5 square, or maybe through the g4 square, something like knight d2, knight f1, knight e3, and then to jump on d5, sorry, he can trade that. So it's not that. So for that, really we need a couple of moves. I mean, maybe 5 moves: queen e2, rook e1, knight e2, knight f1, knight f1, yes. So this is already 4 moves, 5 moves, and then 6th move will be knight e5. So practically 6 moves we will spend for nothing because he can trade that. So it's not that. And still we will not provide what we want, and that is to take here, and then black to force black to take with the pawn. So it's not good. Okay, let's search some other ideas here. Also, maybe we don't need to use the knight for attack on the knight on f6. So we can play knight e1 and then to open f-file. If we open f-file, then we have rook. We have a rook and the bishop who is attacking at the same time the knight. So he will be forced to take then with his pawn. Okay, let's check. Can black protect that knight a couple of times? Maybe then he won't be able. He won't be forced to take with the pawn, or king's pawn. How to say that? G pawn. So knight e1. What black can play? Maybe knight c6 with idea knight b8, knight e7. But for that he needs to spend 3 tempos: knight c6, knight b8, and then knight e7. We are faster because after knight c6, what happened in the game? We can play f4, and now he's down for 1 tempo. So when he goes with the knight on b8, we will capture on e5, and this is tempo move because the knight is hanging, so he must respond with d takes on e5. I have a problem with my mouse. D takes on e5, and then we will capture here. So we accomplish our idea, we can say, and when we weak his pawn structure, then we can include other pieces in the game, so we will attack, and our attack will be really strong because he has open king, and also pawn structure is weak on the enemy side. So there is no chance that he can play knight b8 and then knight d7. He doesn't have the time for that. In the game was knight d4. Knight d4 is a good move because and some logical move, we can say, but also what I want to teach you is that never play logical moves. You need to have idea why you're playing something. Don't play just because that is a nice move, we can say. On the first look, this really looks nice because the knight is in the center. But first, what we need to see here is there any support with that knight? So he's attacking something, but there is no support with other pieces, the enemy pieces here. So he's just standing in the center, but nothing special. Okay, he's in the center, but we don't want to play in the center, we want to play on the king side. So practically he's not doing anything to stop us. Second thing, we can turn this knight to be weak knight. How to do that? First, what we can see here is there is only one square where he can jump from this d4 square. Maybe also he can trade our bishop. This is also one of potential things what can happen here. But if we play next move and take a pause, try to see what is the next move, how to weak this knight, and after that, that could be maybe the biggest weakness in black position. Okay, I will tell you now. So that is bishop a4. What a nice move. Why this move is so great? First, the knight can't jump anywhere, and from this position now we are threatening to play c3, and the knight will be in trap. We will capture the knight for free. So black needs to do something. Now he needs some mission to save his knight, to rescue him. So black played here bishop d7. And after bishop d7 we can say that we have completely winning game now, because we achieve what we wanted before that, and that is to take on f6 and to open his king. This is practically already, for someone who knows to play chess, of course, strategically totally winning position. So what we can play now? Of course we can trade, and when we trade he is forced to take with the queen, so now only the pawn is protecting the knight. So we can take, and one really important thing here. Now we don't need to take here and to open a file, which is probably so logical thing here, and then to take on f6. Okay, we will, not only that we will open the king, we will also earn one pawn. But we need to see bigger picture here. Why to take one pawn when we can maybe take queen or rook, or maybe in the best scenario we can give checkmate. So what we can do, what is better than to take on e5? We can take here, and when he also reply with taking on f6, then better move instead to take here and to have open position on the king side is to close. We didn't close completely this position. We just close black so he can't move his pieces on the king side and to try to secure his king. For example, the knight can't enter in the game and to protect the king. He's in the center of the board, but he's not doing anything good for black. That is the problem. The queen, completely out of game. Rook can't help for now, maybe with king h8, rook g8, something like that, but we have good answer for that, good reply. So practically after f5, black is completely stuck with his pieces, and only white can do something on the king side. Okay, after that black tried to move the rook from f8. It could be a nice thing because he wants to maybe to bring the queen there, to create some space for the queen, but of course he doesn't have the time for that. We are faster. First we can play c3. Idea with c3 is rook f3. This is so important for us because we want to bring our heavy pieces on open side, and that is the king side, and to attack the king with a couple of pieces. We probably don't need too many pieces. It will be just enough for us to bring the queen and the rook, and when they work together, or if we connect them, we can give checkmate. But if we want to bring the rook in the game, first c3. This knight still can't do anything for black, so yes, we can play c3 now to kick him from that place. And only square is of course on c6 for the knight. And then first, before we play rook f3, we should play queen h6. Queen h6 is so important move. Why? First, we don't want to allow black king to escape. After rook from f to c8, maybe he wants to just escape with the king. We won't let him to do that with queen h6. Now he's stuck on the king side, on the side where we want to play. So this is totally winning. Okay, let's see what happened next. Black is trying now to play something, so b5. Okay, always I told you that when your opponent is attacking you on one side, the best thing what you can do is to try to open second front. But in this case, black is so slow with his attack, we don't need to pay attention about that. And to bother with some attack, what black can do on the queen side. We are faster, we will give checkmate, so let's go for that. So rook f3. So with rook on f3, we can give checkmate because we have coordination with our pieces. Queen and rook can work together. So king h8 and now rook h3. Rook h3 because we want to give checkmate on h7. Only move for black is king g8 and then rook g3 check, king h8 and then queen g7 checkmate. Practically white didn't do anything specifically here, he just plays some normal moves, but one thing is important. He recognizes where is the weakness. So important thing in chess. Don't waste the time for unnecessary things. If you spend the time for such things, what is not important for you, you will lose tempos. And when you start losing tempos, probably your opponent will be faster in attack, whatever he wants to achieve. So you need to have idea and to go with your idea, but of course, always compare, because sometimes your opponent will have stronger idea, and you need to consolidate that and then to continue with your idea. So everything depends, of course, but we can follow some rules in chess. So if you like this, please subscribe and see you in the next video. Bye bye.